Hello everybody, coming up is another segment from one of our Blue Room Extra shows from Subscribers Weekly. Unfortunately, we had a Merseyside derby defeat to react to, but I think we're all very much over that now and looking ahead to a huge game of Goodison against Leeds United on Saturday. Joining me this week were Paul, Adam and Marva for her debut on the show. Spoke about a variety of things, including that loss, including how we think the game against Leeds is going to go and what on earth Everton do about their centre-forward options. That was, of course, after Ella Sims started on Monday night. But here's a segment about the attendance of the board at that game against Anfield, at Anfield on Monday, and what, if anything, they can do to make things a little bit better, and whether they could ever come back to Goodison Park, and whether they should come back to Goodison Park again this season. If you want to hear this in full, it is over on the Blue Room Extra. It's patreon.com/the Blue Room Extra. The link is in the description. In the meantime, hope you enjoy this segment too.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way back. I think as soon as that statement goes out before that Southampton game, I don't think there's any way back. As soon as they miss one Goodison Park match, how can they justify ever going back to the stadium again? Like before something drastic changes at board level or with ownership, or well, preferably both. Like I just don't see how they can justify returning. And if they do return before any of these changes happen, well, it's only going to have a negative effect on the team, isn't it? Because they're going to take some of the focus away from the supporters who want to get behind Dyche and they want to get behind the lads on the pitch, and it's going to attract some of the focus up to that director's box where nobody really wants the attention during the 90 minutes to be up there at all. Everything around the 90 minutes, yeah, we'll focus on, the board of directors and the huge issues that's going on with ownership at the club at the minute. But for those 90 minutes, the focus needs to be on the pitch. So, I suppose they're thinking of it in saying, well, we still want to show that we're committed to the club and that we're showing our faces at games. But if we go to away games, we're not going to get, any attention on us during the 90 minutes. And, for in some level, I can understand that sort of line of thinking, but I just don't think it works. I think it makes you look really silly when you've essentially banished yourselves from your own home stadium to be turning up at away ground still. It just looks wrong.
I mean, Anfield in particular as well. I mean,
Yeah,
if you were
that's
to
it.
turn up at a different away game, you can kind of understand and everything that you're saying there in terms of, okay, you might distract if you go to Goodison, but who's advising them to do this? Like the optics of that, of essentially putting out that you feel more welcome going to Anfield than you do going to Goodison as the Everton board. It's who's told them to go and do that? It's just mind-boggling that they thought that was a good idea.
Do you
Yeah.
think then, Marva, that they should just bite the bullet and make sure they're there on Saturday, and then it's one game, the focus is on them all of a sudden, and then it's done for the rest of the season? Because like Adam's saying, like it feels like whatever decision they take now, they're gonna get loads of grief for it. Like those empty seats being there is bad.
Yeah.
Them coming back is also bad because, like you said, it takes attention off the team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're always going to get criticism. Like every owner, Arsenal's owners getting criticism right now, and look at how well they're doing. It's like you have to kind of take that as a board of directors. You have to take that as anyone involved in football. You're going to get criticism constantly. No one's ever going to be completely happy with you. But I think in this situation, I think if they were to release a statement where they essentially, admit that they got it wrong before, where they take some ownership, one about the transfer window, but also about the way that they blamed fans and the way they dealt with that whole security or non-security issue. I think if they address that and then turn up at a game soon, it will at least allow things to blow over a bit. But I think if you just turn up and you still don't address the problem that everyone's angry at, or the many problems that people are angry at, I don't know if that particularly helps either. But I do think they're probably sweating now as well, because the moment that anything goes wrong, that those TV cameras are going to pan to those empty seats, and it's not a good look for them. So even just from a business sense or a PR sense in their minds, they should be looking to address this as soon as possible.
Yeah, Paul, finally you on that. I mean, it's just a PR web, isn't it? It feels like it's just so, of their own making, but now it's just so hard to untangle.
Yeah, it's a total PR disaster. I think as as Marva said, that the optics of being Anfield not being as good as okay, you could argue our own stage, but that's not really relevant, is it? And then there's also as Adam said as well there. I mean, the statement that came out before the Southampton game, to me, was the final thing that broke that very delicate relationship between the fans and the boardroom. And if there'd been some kind of visual evidence to back up the allegations that are being made, maybe you can understand why they come out with that statement. But the impasse since that statement came out and the lack of evidence to support that statement, I really think it's really upped the level of distrust between the fans and the board at the moment. And I'm like you, Matt, I don't see a way out of this. I mean, because if they're not there, it's a distraction. If they are there, it's a distraction. And in all this, I mean, I remember a while ago, Matt, me and you spoke about why is Graham Sharp joining the board. He's not going to be putting over the accounts every night, is he? Looking at the financial situation, he's just there purely as like a figurehead. And I think I don't understand the reasons from choosing to join the board. I was quite flabbergasted when he made that decision, but when we're looking for the club to be pulling in the right direction, everyone looking for the same outcome, to have this divide between the board and the fans is it's intolerable, really. Now, the only thing I would say, if you're trying to be a bit more optimistic about the future, I remember the West Ham situation about 4 or 5 seasons ago when fans ran on the pitch, when fans were confronting David Gold, David Sullivan, and there seems to be an irrevocable breakdown there between supporters and the board. But they somehow managed to get that back together again. Now, I think you and Adam mentioned there, but maybe it needs kind of some sort of holding statement, some sort of tentative apology, to kind of indicate they've got the message and they will look to make some substantial change in the summer. Trouble is now, I think we've got to a stage where no one's going to believe them no matter what they say.
Yeah, 100%. And just finally, Paul, just thinking there actually while you're speaking, obviously Graham Sharp was sort of before the rest of our time really on this call. You grew up watching an Everton team, spearheaded by him, winning things. You've wrote books about the teams he was involved in. I mean, how does it make you feel seeing him involved in all this? I mean, tarnish is probably too strong a word, but has it changed your thought processes on him and Everton and how you remember him or not?
Yeah, yes, sadly, yeah. I mean, Graham Sharp was a great help to me with my book. He came to my book signing as well. That generated a lot of interest as well. As a player, he always represented the club, superbly. He was a fantastic footballer. He's a crucial part of our glory years, and he has this glorious legacy with the club that I think now is in danger of being. I think you used the word tainted, Mark. I think that's the right word to describe it because, it's. I think for a younger generation of Blues like yourselves who started watching Everton after Sharp retired, you're going to sadly just associate him with this guy who's part of the boardroom without any kind of reference to his features of football of the club. And I just think it's a real shame that the crucial role he played as arguably for 3 years the best team in England and the best team in Europe has kind of been diminished by getting on board with Kenwright and Mashiri. And I don't quite see what he's getting out of this relationship, because he's got grief and hassle from us as well. And it's just it's incredibly frustrating. But he's an adult. He knew what he's walking into. He knew what the situation was. No one forced him to be in that position. So yeah, I mean, you have your image of your heroes, don't you? And you always want to keep them like that. And I wish I could still have that image of Graham Shaw turning through defences in the mid-80s, scoring goals at will. But one possible way back for them might be to be brought back to training and offer a service to Sean Dyche, the players striking out and not full coming fixture. We could do worse.